Pulling my pants up. Pulling my pants up. We got another one now. Oh shit, we got another one. Ain't this a bitch?
Alright, he doesn't want to identify himself and he's on property.
What you doing? Whoa, hold on. For what? I ain't have to do it. For what? Hold on. Whoa.
Hey, hold on. He live right there.
Well, he's got to identify himself. He does use obstruction.
Why he gotta identify himself? Hey, why is I arresting him?
I don't know, but get back. It ain't your business.
Why is I arresting him? This is my business because this is my motherfucking brother. Why is I arresting him?
You'll find out in the report.
No. Why is I No.
It ain't up to you if he gets arrested.
Why is he getting arrested?
No, whoa. That was his phone.
That's my phone. That's my phone.
Sandy speaks. Sandy is speaking, and again, I do apologize. And if I'm looking a little crazy, this is because this is a test. It's time, y'all. It's time. This thing that I'm holding in my hand, this telephone, this camera, it is quite powerful. Social media is powerful. We can do something with this. If we want to change, we can really, truly make it happen. You know, we sit out here and talk about, oh, we need the next so-and-so and this and that. No, you don't. No, you don't. Start in your own home. Start with you. You start being that person to want to make that change. So it's funny. I might, whoever is watching this, you might hear I'm probably going to get a few of the Michael Jackson, oh, I want to make that change comment. But laugh all you want to. Say what you want. But I'm here to change history. I am ready to do what I need to do for this next generation. It's time for me to do it's time for me to do God's work at the end of the day. Because he and I know everybody don't believe in God, which is fine. But I want you to know on Sandy Speaks, I'm going to talk about God because for me, he has truly opened my eyes and shown me that there's something out there that we can do. We can stop sitting around and just saying, oh, well, maybe next time. Or, oh, well, we knew that was going to happen. It's time to stop knowing that was going to happen. And it's time to start doing something. So, I'm finna go to bed, but I just want everybody who watches this to know that I truly thank God for you. I thank God for you taking your time to watch this video. And I'd like to plant the seed in you. There will be more of these to come. There will be more Sandy Speaks. And I want y'all's feedback. I need you. I need y'all's help. You know, I can't do this by myself. I need you. So, you know, email. It's crazy. I should know how to make a YouTube channel, but I don't. So I'll probably be getting with somebody soon to figure that out. But in the meantime, in between time, you can comment below the video. Tell me what you think. Definitely, please. I would love to hear responses from your kids. And, you know, just general responses to whatever you feel like they need to hear about the news.
Get out of the car now!
Why am I being apprehended? You trying to give me a ticket for your failure?
Get out of the car.
Why am I being apprehended? You just opened my car door. You just opened my car door. So you threatening to drag me out of my own car.
Get out of the car!
And then you
I
gonna
will
stun
light
me?
you up. Get out!
Wow.
Now!
Wow.
Get out of the car!
Really, for a failure to signal. You doing all of this for a
Get
failure
over
to
there.
signal. Right, yeah. Yeah, let's take this to court. Let's do
Go
it.
ahead.
For a failure to signal. Yep, for a failure to signal.
Get off the phone.
On my school.
Get off the phone.
I'm not on the phone. I have a right to
Put your
record. This
phone
is my
down.
property. This
Put
is
your
my
phone
property.
down.
Sir?
Put your phone down. Right now.
You doing all of this for a
Get
failure to
over
signal.
there.
You
I
gonna
will
stun
light
me?
you up. Get out!
Wow.
You okay?
I'm waiting on you. This is your job. I'm waiting on you. What do you want me to
Oh,
do?
you seem very irritated.
I am. I really am. Because I feel like this crap is what I'm getting a ticket for. I was getting out of your way. You were speeding up, tailing me. So I move over and you stopped me. So yeah, I am a little irritated, but that doesn't stop you from giving me a ticket. So let's continue.
Are you done?
You asked me what was wrong and I told you.
Okay.
So now I'm done, yeah.
Okay. You mind putting out your cigarette, please? Don't mind.
I'm in my car. Why do I have to put out my cigarette?
Well, you can step on out now.
I don't have to step out of my car.
Step out of the car.
Why am I...
Step out of the car.
No, you don't have the right.
Put your phone down.
How do you guys feel about the Sandra Bland Act of 2017?
The Sandra Bland Act of 2017. Explain it to me.
Okay, well, in July of 2015, there was a trooper. His name was Hcns, I believe. And he stopped a black woman from Chicago. And then the situation quickly escalated when he told her to put out her cigarette. And then he pulled out a taser. He said he would light her up. One thing led to another. She ended up in the Waller County Jail. And 3 days later, she was found dead.
Yeah. Now, what does the act exactly do?
Now, I don't believe anybody can realize the magnitude of the problem until they get into it. Like John said, there's a myriad of reasons.
Wish you'd stop being so good to me, Captain.
Get out of the car! I will light you up! Get out! Now!
A 28-year-old was pulled over in Waller County for failing to signal a lane change, arrested for allegedly assaulting a state trooper, and was found hanging in a jail cell 3 days later. Senator John Whitmire, who's carrying the Senate companion to the bill, spent 2 days working to have it called for a vote. When that finally happened this afternoon, he told lawmakers more must be done to address mental health in county jails.
Today, if you don't remember one other word that I speak, I want you to remember this. When you deny someone their liberty, you have a responsibility to provide for the safety and welfare of that person.
Today, tensions flared as Texas lawmakers look to learn more about the Sandra Bland cell phone video that her family claims DPS officials tried to hide.
Get out of the car!
The cell phone footage was recorded during Sandra Bland's now notorious 2015 traffic stop in Waller County near Houston.
I will light you up! Get out!
The DPS trooper, Brian Encina, was later fired, but it was Bland's death in a Waller County jail cell 3 days later that outraged supporters across the nation. Her death was ruled a suicide.
When you lose a child, that feeling of loss is never going to go away, and no matter what we do, there's nothing that is going to say that we've addressed the reason why she lost her daughter.
Those words today from State Representative Garnet Coleman of Houston as Bland's mother looked on. Coleman called for the House committee meeting in response to the release of the cell phone video and accusations of a DPS cover-up from the Bland family. However, the family's lead attorney says he never saw the 39-second cell phone footage until the nonprofit investigative group Network brought it to his attention.
Thank you again for giving us the opportunity to refute, this gross misinformation that was reported to the public regarding the discovery process, both civil and criminal. Clearly we've got obligation to fully comply with those rules.
However, federal court records revealed DPS and the Texas Attorney General opposed requests from the family's lawyers to turn over crucial evidence.
That video, under the law as it stands, could have been secreted forever.
We could have, within our discretion, exercised that exception.
Do you think that's
we chose not to?
And I appreciate that. And there's a question about when it's released. I appreciate that. But do you think it's good public policy that in this case, had your agency not made that determination, that that information would have never been available to the public?
I don't think that's good public policy, no.
I appreciate your opinion, and I hope that we change it this session.
Now, Representative Coleman introduced the Sandra Bland Act, which became law in 2017. It requires county jails to send people with mental health and substance abuse issues into treatment. As for the hearing, though, more talk, no real changes.
Tonight, fresh controversy as newly released dash cam footage shows a tense interaction between Sandra Bland and a police officer, quickly spiraling out of control. Her loved ones now sharing their anguish for the first time, arguing that the arresting officer overstepped his bounds. Here's ABC's Ryan Smith.
It was an ordinary traffic stop that escalated into this.
Get out of the car!
And then you
I will light you up. Get out!
Wow.
Now!
The trooper arrests 28-year-old Sandra Bland. 3 days later, she's found hanging in her jail cell, a garbage bag around her neck. The ultimate question, how did someone involved in a minor traffic stop end up dead in a jail cell? The mystery began late Friday afternoon. Sandra Bland is pulled over by State Trooper Brian Encinia. Everything seems routine.
Hello, ma'am. With the Texas Highway Patrol, the reason for your stop is you failed to signal the lane change. You got your driver's license insurance with you?
But just a few minutes later, the situation grows tense.
Oh, you seem very irritated.
I am. I really am. Because I feel like this cap is what I'm getting a ticket for. I was getting out of your way. You were speeding up, tailing me. So I move over and you stopped me. So yeah, I am a little irritated, but that doesn't stop you from giving me a ticket. So.
Then Encinia asks Bland to put out her cigarette.
You mind putting out your cigarette, please? Don't mind.
I'm in my car. Why do I have to put out my cigarette?
Well, you can step on out now.
I don't have to step out of my car.
Step out of the car. Step out of the car.
No, you don't have the right.
Step out of the car.
You do not have the right to do that.
I do have the right. Now step out or I will remove you.
He reaches for Bland in the car, and when she doesn't step out...
Get out of the car!
And then I
will light you up. Get out!
Wow.
Now!
She gets out of the car, arguing about his tactics, all the while trying to catch her interaction with the officer on her cell phone.
Put your phone down!
Sir?
Off camera, the officer is heard yelling at Bland to cooperate.
Put your phone down!
She is still cursing and screaming when he forcibly restrains her.
You're about to break my wrist. Can you stop? You are about to break my wrist. Stop moving.
A female officer with Encinia on the scene also restrains Bland.
Stop resisting, man. That'll make you feel real good. You're a real man now. You just slammed me, knocked my head in the ground. I got epilepsy, you
Good.
I hope
Good.
You should have thought about that before you start resisting. All right. Yeah. This is
A bystander captures her being pinned to the ground.
Send me a first available for arrest.
Bland is arrested for assaulting a public servant and taken to county jail. This incident has reignited a national controversy.
A minor traffic infraction should not turn into death.
Tensions high after a slew of recent cases involving accusations of police using excessive force on African Americans.
There have been enough situations that we've seen in media now that would give us pause when we're interacting with police officers, because there is a potential in which things could go horribly wrong, and yes, we could be killed.
At issue, was Sandra Bland out of line, or did Officer Encinia go too far?
Sandra Bland was very combative. It was not a model traffic stop, and it was not a model person that was stopped on a traffic stop.
In an arrest affidavit, the officer says Bland became combative and uncooperative, and that force was used to subdue Bland to the ground, which Bland continued to fight back, adding, "Bland began swinging her elbows at me, then kicked my right leg in the shin." The Bland family's lawyer disputing the officer's account.
This happened because an officer was overzealous. This happened because an officer decided that he wished to overstep his authority.
The day after her arrest, This voicemail, believed to be Bland calling a friend from jail, distraught.
I'm still just at a loss for words, honestly, about this whole process. How to switching lanes with no signal turn into all this, I don't even know.
But just 2 days later, Sandra Bland is found dead. The Waller County Sheriff's Office reporting she was found in her cell not breathing. The medical examination calling her death a suicide by hanging.
Attempts were made to resuscitate her, which were unsuccessful.
Her family doesn't buy this account, commissioning an independent autopsy.
Sandy was a social activist. Social activists don't take their own life, particularly in jail.
My goal is to racially unite.
Sandra Bland was a social media activist.
Black Lives Matter.
Regularly posting videos about race and injustice. Family and friends say she had just moved to Texas, accepting a new job at her alma mater, Prairie View A&M University.
What raises questions is why it is that a 28-year-old woman who had received 2 job offers would take her own life.
But this video that Bland posted to YouTube just months ago shows a different side.
I am suffering from something that some of you all may be dealing with right now. It's a little bit of depression as well as PTSD.
We take issue with the notion that she was suffering from depression. She was never clinically diagnosed, as this family understands.
But on an intake form, it is noted that Sandra said she had attempted suicide within the last year, using pills. But when asked if she was feeling suicidal today, Sandra responded no, leading to new questions about whether she was watched closely enough. Tonight, many are blaming the officer, including her family, saying Sandra Bland should never have been arrested in the first place.
She was pulled over for something so insignificant, and because of an officer who felt like maybe his ego was bruised.
Former NYPD Detective Nick Casal says, though Bland was arguing with the officer, reaching into the car went too far.
He's clearly crossed the Rubicon, and now he's taken this as a personal issue. And now who's going to win? Yeah, this is just deteriorating, and it's as we say in Brooklyn, it's only going to get worse.
This didn't need to happen. She didn't need to get in an argument with the police officer, and the officer didn't need to yank her out of that car.
Stand right there. Don't touch me.
I think this is a valuable lesson on the importance of having cameras in police cars. Without that camera there, I'm certain we would have heard much more conflicting stories about what happened.
The Texas Rangers, along with the FBI, are investigating the circumstances leading up to Sandra's death. Trooper Encinia has now been assigned to administrative duties for violations of department's procedures regarding traffic stops.
I don't think that he's going to face any criminal charges.
But Sandra's life is over. Her dreams, her future, gone in a jail cell.
She's gone from us, but the conversation should not die with her.
For Nightline, I'm Ryan Smith in New York.
We will say that this charge represents a fundamental misunderstanding of law enforcement procedure. This case now represents much more than Brian Encinia. It is a threat to all police officers in the state of Texas of a runaway grand jury or a rogue prosecutor deciding to Monday morning quarterback a police officer's decision, his rendition, and his submission of a probable cause statement.
So if you see me cry, I'm owed that. If you see me crying, those are happy tears and sad tears at the same time, because my daughter's not here. So to come all this way, I needed to do that. And the best part of this trip was going to the memorial, I will say that, because people are still yet respecting the fact that she died, and it wasn't in vain.
We are not able to control what they do. That being said, we let them know what we want. We think we are echoed by hundreds of thousands of people across this country. And we are expecting that they will do what they said they would do to us when they spoke to us, and that is do their job.
Sandy still speaks. Sandy still speaks. Sandy still speaks.
Years since Sandra Bland was found hanging in a Waller County jail, and today state lawmakers are taking a stand to help police deal with the mentally ill in jail. State lawmakers filed the Sandra Bland Act in Austin today. The act aims to improve how mentally ill inmates are booked and supervised in jails. The act comes months after the Bland family settled with Waller County for $19 million and with the promise of reforms at the jail.
But we're going to make sure that those aspects are spread to the rest of the state of Texas so that anyone in jail anywhere in Texas is safe.
Bland was found dead in her jail cell just days after being pulled over for a minor traffic offense in July of 2015.
Okay. The 14th Amendment contains the incorporation doctrine, or the idea that the U.S. Constitution, together with all of its amendments, applies equally to state governments as well as federal governments. Okay. Perhaps most important in this is the idea that the due process of law, the protections under the Fifth Amendment, that the government must follow due process or act with fundamental fairness, and the passage and carrying out of laws that affect the rights of individuals, that this applies equally to state governments, that the state government cannot simply be arbitrary in the passage or carrying out of laws. So again, this means that all of these provisions, particularly that of the Due Process Clause, is incorporated into the governance of the states.
But any of this technology we have in 2019, in the 21st century, which of course didn't exist 20, 30, 40 years ago, where someone could just whip out an iPhone or an Android and just start recording police.
Do you mind if I mean, you don't have to answer. That's your God-given right not to answer, but...
Constitutional right.
Well, the Constitution was inspired by God, wasn't it?
Well, I got to agree with you there.
Because in the Constitution, doesn't it say that our rights are bestowed upon us by our Creator, our inalienable rights?
You're my type of guy.
So, I'm just curious, because you got me curious, because this has never happened to me on an inspection or a traffic stop before.
Okay.
So I've had people videotape me, but not to the extent that you are.
All right.
So I'm just curious. Like, you know, what's up? Like, is something bothering you?
Sir?
Damn. Hell no, they can't do that. Look at this nigga right here.
I didn't come to a complete stop right there. I did not fuck with it. No, I did. Okay, so we had a silver cobalt.
Oh my.
Sir, do you live out here? I see you driving like that.
I know, I ain't gonna say nothing.
I respect that. We're doing a lot of. Instead of in the stop sign right here.
Sir, do you live out here? Yeah. Once we came up to the car, you said additional.
What do you want? You want to
Sir, I have a few notes. You live out here, sir? Do you have an ID with you?
What are you reaching for?
Huh?
I don't have to identify
listen,
myself.
we have a criminal trespass list out here, okay?
I don't have to identify myself. I'm gonna show you that.
All right. Yes. What's the ETA on that?
They thinking I'm a suspect now.
9-2 clear here in Rapids.
Hold on. It's police brutality. Police brutality. Oh yeah, they run up on me now. I just walked up here.
Right. You want your ticket now or later? What'd I do? You left your car unoccupied.
That don't mean nothing. No, it's not.
I never knew that. This is all of me running the stop sign. Huh? I ran that stop sign.
That ain't got nothing to do with you, but this ain't got nothing to do with her though. This ain't got nothing to do with you.
Ma'am, stand over here, please.
What you doing now?
Please.
I said about 45 seconds. Okay, 45 seconds.
I still record you?
Okay. Keep your hands out of your pockets.
Why? What have I done?
Sir, I don't know if you live out here or not. Okay.
What
we
have
have
I
a
done?
criminal trespass list here in the Trumbull Metropolitan Housing Authority.
Am I?
Okay. And right now you're on property. You're on government property. Okay. So I have the right to identify you, and I
There you
will.
go.
And if I don't, then you'll be arrested. Okay.
For what? I was walking. Where it is? Go get it. Y'all was over here, and I came all the way over here. And now he talking about arresting me. Pulling my pants up, pulling my pants up. We got another one now. Oh shit, we got another one. Ain't this a bitch?
All right. He doesn't want to identify himself, and he's on property.
What you doing? Whoa, hold on. For what? I ain't have to do it. For what? Hold on. Whoa.
Hey, hold on. He lived right there.
Well, he's got to identify himself. He does use obstruction.
Why he gotta identify himself? Hey, why is I arresting him?
I don't know, but get back. It ain't your business.
Purpose for me. Why is I arresting him? This is my business because this is my motherfucking brother. Why is I arresting him?
You'll find out in the report.
No. Why is I no?
It ain't up to you if he gets arrested.
Why is he getting arrested?
Whoa.
That was his phone.
That's my phone.
The 2005 Supreme Court case Illinois versus Cabayas deals with the question if conducting a canine search during a traffic stop is ever constitutional or does it violate the Fourth Amendment. And here's what the Supreme Court says. But first, let me give you the facts. In this case, the defendant was driving on an Illinois parkway. He gets pulled over for speeding. The first officer immediately begins to write him a ticket. While all of this is happening, a second officer, who is from a narcotics unit, overhears that somebody got pulled over.
Now I have a fourth officer on the scene. Where's that guy? Right there. So we've got 4 officers now. I'm gonna record this, fellas. Like
That's fine.
this
You can
doesn't.
record whatever you want.
It doesn't sound right. I've watched like.
That's what the dog. If the dog hits on the vehicle, it gives us probable cause to search the vehicle. You think I'm lying to you?
Yes, I do, sir.
Well, then what do you think canines are for? To smell
But
narcotics.
what? Don't you have to have a reasonable suspicion or something like that, or a probable cause? Like, what is the cause?
The dog is. The dog gives us probable cause if it hits on the vehicle. You can record me all you want. It's you're right, and I'm not lying to you.
You got to have a reason to be able to want to search this. What reason do you have? You know what I'm saying? You just felt like it.
Any vehicle that we stop, we can walk the dog around, and if the dog hits, then it gives us probable cause to search the vehicle. You can look it up.
I'm assuming that you know what you're talking about, sir. You're the one with the
You can talk
badge.
to the canine guy if you want. He's here. You can Google it.
But just for the record, I didn't give consent, so I'm not
That's
really.
fine.
This guy just wants to waste time out of my day, and I haven't even.
No, trust me.
It hasn't been much
we
time,
would
man.
rather
We
be
good.
out there getting good. We just got a gun
We good.
on the other side of town. We'd rather be out there, and that's why if it's.
Man,
if
I'm
you
trying to-
hide, dude, this is a small truck. A consent
Wow.
search would have lasted 20 seconds. In
I'm just trying to drop him off and I was trying to get to a mechanic
You
shop
wanna give
so
us
I
the
could
name
do an alignment on my truck, and now you
You're right.
like completely.
Explain these tickets to you. I already talked to him.
Yes, sir. Do you need me to step out, or can I stay in
the
here?
dog's gonna run around the car, and I need to show you these tickets, and I need you to sign them.
I could sign it from here. I feel like maybe having me get out is consent for you to do
well,
that,
the
but
dog's gonna run around the car,
What's up?
right? So. keep
well, you're not
your
going to find anything, sir.
That's fine. No. Yeah, I told him to keep his hands in the car.
I can't see the dog, but
Well, it's because it's walking on the ground.
sometimes you guys, I'm gonna actually get out.
Hey, hold on,
'Cause
hold on.
I want to.
Hold on, hold on,
I want to
wait, wait,
record the
wait.
dog. It's not gonna bite me, is it?
Just chill, man.
They alerted.
Alert?
Yep.
They don't see. They're saying alert,
Positive alert, so I need you to step out of the car.
sir.
Please step out and step to the back here. The dog had a positive alert. You can video me the whole time, I don't care.
You guys have got to be kidding me.
Step back there.
I'm gonna videotape this.
30 feet for me.
Yes, sir. This is a case of harassment.
Alright, you're good to go. Come on back here.
Stand over here, sir. Don't walk the other option. Sir?
I don't want them planning anything weird in my car or something like that. Put my hands wherever you want them.
You're fine.
So you just wasn't barking at him?
I've watched a bunch of videos how these guys do fake alerts on their dogs, and I get it, but I don't understand why you want to harass me today.
Do you guys smoke weed in there at all or anything?
No,
Never?
no,
Does anyone else
and I
do
did
that?
not consent to this. This is illegal.
He right away starts driving towards the location, gets there, and while the first officer is writing the ticket, he takes out the canine out of the car and walks the canine around the defendant's car to see if there's drugs in the car. Now, in this case, there's no probable cause. Neither officers have any suspicion that narcotics would have been found in this car. The second officer simply decided to walk the dog around the car without any reasonable suspicion or probable cause. So the question becomes, is that constitutional? Can an officer ever walk the dog around the car simply because he has the canine available? Here's what the Supreme Court says. The use of a well-trained narcotics dog, one that does not expose non-contraband items that otherwise would have been hidden inside the car, does not implicate the legitimate privacy interests. So a dog sniff conducted during a lawful traffic stop that does not reveal any information other than the location of the contraband, by the way, one that no one has a legal right to possess anyways, does not violate the Fourth Amendment.
Is an alert from a drug-sniffing dog enough to justify police searching a home or a car? That's the question the Supreme Court explored today in two cases. Marcia Coyle of the National Law Journal was in the courtroom this morning to hear the arguments, and she's here with us tonight. Welcome back.
Thanks, Judy.
So I imagine it's not that often that the court hears a case about a dog, much less two cases.
Well, it is a little unusual, and in a sense we've gone from high-tech questions under the Fourth Amendment, like the attachment of GPS devices to cars, to very low-tech questions under the Fourth Amendment. These two cases come in two very different factual situations. The first case that was argued this morning, a police officer was acting on an anonymous tip that marijuana was being grown in a house. He took his narcotics-trained dog up the driveway to the front door of the house. After a time, the dog alerted by sitting at the base of the front door. The police officer left the dog with another officer to go get a search warrant. The question for the Supreme Court is, should he have had a search warrant with him before he allowed the dog to sniff? Was the dog sniff a search under the Fourth Amendment? The second case doesn't involve a house, it involves a pickup truck. A police officer stopped the pickup truck for a traffic violation, noticed that the driver was sweaty and very nervous. And when he went to check the driver's license, he brought out his dog, Aldo, a German Shepherd, and had him do a sniff around the truck. The dog alerted on the handle of the door, and the police officer used that to search the truck. The question for the court is whether the dog sniff itself gave the police probable cause in order to search the truck. The Florida Supreme Court ruled against law enforcement in both cases, so it was the state of Florida that brought the cases to the Supreme Court today.
So the justices heard these separately, and
Yes.
what kinds of questions were they asking? The first about the case
house.
involving the house.
Right. Well, the state of Florida was actually represented by the same lawyer in both cases, former Solicitor General Gregory Garr, and he told the justices that in prior cases of the Supreme Court, the court had found that drug-sniffing dogs were rather unique, and they could search luggage, open containers, because we don't have a reasonable expectation of privacy in contraband. And he said this was really no different here. But he ran into trouble across the bench from justices. The home, it appears, is different in the eyes of the court. Justice Ginsburg, for example, said, under your theory of the case, couldn't police then take drug-sniffing dogs into neighborhoods that have drug problems and go door by door, having the dog sniff the front door, or into an apartment building and go door by door? Justice Scalia pointed out that there is a rule that police cannot come within the curtilage of a home, that is the area immediately surrounding the home, in order to get a better view of what's inside of a house with their binoculars. And why, he said, is a dog any different? So there was a lot of skepticism about the Florida's position.
And how did the Florida attorney respond?
Mr. Garr said, you know, under court precedents, under the law, police officers alone can walk up to the front door, knock on the door, and talk to the resident in order to uncover evidence of a crime. It's no different with a dog.
Now, what about in the other case, Marcia? Again, this was the one where the dog, on the handle of the door of the car, right. The dog smelled something.
Right, and there the question is, was that probable cause for the search? And probable cause has to be more than a suspicion. And the courts, when they try to determine whether there was probable cause because a criminal defendant is challenging the search, looks at all the circumstances. Here, the Florida Supreme Court looked at the reliability of the dog, Aldo, and wanted the government and law enforcement to produce evidence that this dog was reliable. You know, how was it trained? Was the handler trained? Was it certified? And Mr. Garr for the state of Florida said that these were extraordinary requirements. And he was supported by the Obama administration's lawyer, who also said that what would happen here if the court constitutionalized these requirements was that you would start having mini trials with expert witnesses, and dogs would be put on trial to determine their reliability. And it just wasn't necessary. The court seemed to have trouble trying to find what kind of requirements would ensure reliability and therefore probable cause for a search. And Justice Sotomayor, for example, noted that there have been some recent studies that show these dogs aren't infallible. There's one that she noted that had a 12% accuracy rate, and she said she was a little troubled by that. And but it wasn't as clear as in the House case that the justices were going to have a problem.
We're going to focus on the accuracy or the track record.
Right, and
it's
just hard to measure how reliable a trained dog is.
And just quickly, Marcia, so there's a precedent here, but the court is taking a whole other look with these two cases.
Yes, it is. It's never really confronted head-on a dog sniff of the front door of the house, believe it or not, in this day and age.
All right, an interesting day in the court. Marcia Coyle, The National Law Journal.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Can I see your ID? Can I see your ID? The reason I'm asking for your ID right now is because you're jaywalking. You can't cross the street like that unless it's a crosswalk. Do you have your ID with you? I'm asking for your ID right now. Are you understanding me? I need to positively identify you right now. Do you have your ID on you? Do you understand what I'm telling you? Or no? You jaywalk, that's illegal. I need your ID right now. Do you understand? Yes? Do you not understand? Can you step this way? Let's go. Step this way. I'm asking you to step this way.
Is that an order?
Huh? Yes, sir. Actually, the order is your ID right now because you jaywalk. That's illegal. You understand jaywalking? You need a crosswalk to cross from where you started right now, where you pulled over, to walk on this side. That's called jaywalking. Do you have your ID? I need your ID to properly identify. Let's go, sir. Let's go this way.
Why you grabbing my arm?
Because I'm asking you an order. You're not listening to me. Let's go.
So it's an ask or an order?
It's an order.
Oh, for jaywalking?
No. Jaywalking is illegal, and that's what you just did in front of us, in our presence. And I'm asking you for your ID, and you're failing to provide your ID. You understand that?
Well, I was just...
Let it go. Whoa, no, sir. I'm going to tell you right now. It's an order now. Put that down and give me your ID.
Where's Officer Mendoza?
Mendoza is not here today.
I got an axe to grind with him.
Okay, but if you can avoid it, just...
I'll stay right here. I'll stay right here.
Okay,
I'll stay right here.
my traffic stop, all right?
This is my traffic stop now.
It's not your traffic stop.
It's mine.
I need you to stay over there.
I need you to get to work. This is my traffic stop. Get to work. This is my traffic stop. Get to work.
In this screencast, we'll discuss the Fourth Amendment and its protection from unreasonable searches and seizures. First, though, let's look at the historical context of the Fourth Amendment. Under English law, the saying was, if the constable blunders, the crook should not go free. In other words, if the police made a mistake, it shouldn't result in the charges being dismissed. Now, this was a problem because it encouraged the introduction of evidence as trustworthy when it wasn't. Whenever a police officer violated someone's rights, they could just say, "Whoops, I made a mistake," and the charges wouldn't be dismissed. So the Fourth Amendment tries to prevent this. It protects us from unreasonable searches and seizures. It's important to note, all searches and seizures without a warrant are initially presumed to be unreasonable. Now, there are many types of searches without a warrant that the courts have recognized. Those will be discussed in Unit 7. So what is a search, and what is the purpose of a search? A search is considered a prying into hidden places. A search of a man's person, a house, or property. Searches are conducted in order to locate persons, contraband, not jail contraband, criminal contraband, fruits of a crime, and tools of a crime, such as a gun used in a bank robbery. The Founding Fathers recognized that sometimes searches and seizures would need to be conducted. They had to ensure only searches and seizures that were reasonable would be conducted, though. So in the Fourth Amendment, they created the requirement for a warrant and what it would have to contain. A warrant must first contain probable cause. Probable cause has been defined as facts and circumstances which would lead a reasonable person to believe a crime had been committed or a person had committed it. Warrants must identify what is to be seized, such as a person or an object, name or describe a person, place, or thing to be searched, and now this involves the who and the where. They must command a police officer to search. It's a magistrate's order. Therefore, it has to also be signed and dated by the magistrate.
My name's Andre.
Hi, Angel, man.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks.
Are you on Facebook? Oh, okay. You mind if I give you my number?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, give me.
Yeah, I don't have a pen or nothing. Or maybe you could write it down. It's 915-781-4330. Yeah, 915-781-4330.
Do this all the time?
Yeah, I do these all the time, and I just wanted to show you some of my other videos. And
that's good, man.
Yeah. Well, I'm tired of them searching people when they're not supposed to be, because they go through everybody's cars, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Like just for a traffic stop?
Just for a tail light or a license plate.
That's why I got pulled over.
Yeah.
Brought a K9.
Because they wanted to go through and that's why this camera's here. So.
Appreciate that, man. You did good.
Hey, no problem. And I'll talk to you later, man.
Hey, I'll let my people know. That way you can see your videos. I'll text you that way you can send me your Facebook.
Well,
I can record this. I'm allowed to.
I know.
Okay, thanks.
Can I get some ID?
No, I don't need to give you my ID because there's no reason for it.
So,
I don't have to give you my ID.
hold on.
Wearing a seatbelt, yes you do.
Wearing a seatbelt, that's an infraction. You need to give me your ID.
No, I don't need to give you my ID.
Yes you do.
No, I don't. Under the law,
You're going to end up in the same situation.
under the law, I don't have to give you my ID because I don't have to.
I just told you, you failed to identify yourself. You weren't wearing a seatbelt because you haven't been a seatbelt since we were over here.
How do you know that?
Because I was on the passenger side this whole time.
Yeah, but
We're about to break your window. Ma'am, open the door.
Break that window and then kick glass all over me and hurt me like that, I will sue the shit out of you.
Listen, he does not want his window broken. Okay. Please unlock your door.
Just
or
open
we're
the
gonna break
door.
window.
Wow, I hope all of you get in deep shit. Don't give me the 1-2 countdown anyway.
Okay, step out of
That's
the car.
bullshit.
Get out of the car.
So, I'm not acting like a kid. I'm acting like a citizen without any rights, obviously, because I'm being yanked out of a car. For a seatbelt? If my phone gets broken, I'm suing the shit out of you too. Oh, take the phone, of course, because you know what?
Hey, stop.
You want your evidence? Give me my phone. Oh my god, it's okay, thanks. Now you guys owe me a phone too.
No, we don't.
No, I'm not. Yeah, you reaching through my phone for what?
Stop
For what?
resisting.
Why did you throw my phone? For a seatbelt?
Because you're not
This
complying.
is for a seatbelt?
Yes.
This is the treatment I get for a seatbelt?
Yes, absolutely.
Ow, you're fucking gonna break my arm. You like pull my fucking arm. I'm not, but you're twisting my fucking arm up so hard that it fucking hurts.
Because you keep resisting.
No, I'm not. I'm standing here still. How is this resisting?
Will you chill out?
I'm relaxed, but my arms are being pulled up beyond what they need to be pulled up.
Because you're not relaxing.
I can't relax with my arms being yanked up like that. What do you want me to do?
Yes, you can. Relax.
That's
all you have to do is
do
relax.
I feel safe with a bunch of people's guns around me right now? Like attacking me with a seatbelt? No.
I know. But
So I'm supposed to feel safe right now?
What do you got?
I am.
So we pulled him over for failure to signal.
Seatbelt. I wasn't driving. I wasn't driving, and we just pulled up here. Oh yeah, around the corner. I felt
He's suspended.
that we would get
So he refused to
fine.
identify himself. Insurance. So refused to identify himself. So we pulled him out. She wasn't wearing a seatbelt. She refused to identify herself, saying she doesn't have to, anything like that. So we pulled her out, and now we're dealing with her. So everybody's refusing to identify them. The entire time that I walked up the side of the vehicle, she had her seatbelt off. So
Which part? The other one.
if that is Lauren, she's got a warrant.
Please just calm down. What's your name? I understand you're frustrated. I understand Josh
This
is
is
frustrated.
harassment though, because all we're doing is pulling
I understand you. I understand you feel that way, but the officers are trying to explain to you what's going on, but you won't calm down long enough for them.
Okay, well,
Can I explain it to you?
Yeah,
Can
I would.
Okay,
Give an
listen.
explanation.
Okay, we were behind you.
He failed to signal at the stop sign, and he failed to signal when he pulled over. That's an infraction. If you're pulled over, listen, let me finish. If you're pulled over, you're required to provide your driver's license. All right? I walked up to the passenger side of the vehicle. You were not wearing a seatbelt. Okay?
That's after we had already pulled over here.
You're also required to provide identification.
For what? I wasn't I wasn't operating a vehicle.
Seatbelt doesn't matter. You're not wearing a seatbelt.
So I have to have identification for not wearing a seatbelt.
Yes, because that's an infraction.
But I took it off because we were close enough to the house to where
yourself.
I felt it was okay to take it off because we were going to get out.
Okay, that's besides the point.
Okay, well that is not.
You're required to identify yourself.
I'm required to identify myself or provide an ID. Because I could identify myself.
Either would have been fine.
But you wanted my driver's license.
But why couldn't
That's
you
what I
just
was
say,
asked for.
Okay, but why didn't you say I don't have my ID, but here's my name.
Here's my date of birth.
You said I want your driver's license.
Okay.
Specifically,
Yeah, but now we're getting petty with it, okay?
Okay. Let's. What? You can't take me to fucking jail for not. Okay, to prove your little point. Okay, that's okay. Wait, look at it. Just wait. No. All I wanted was not.
Welcome back. We are pleased to have the new Idaho Falls Police Chief with us today. Chief Bryce Johnson just moved here from Alaska and started on the job two weeks ago. Glad to have you here in Idaho, taking over from Chief Mark McBride, who announced his retirement earlier this year. Let's talk about the state of policing across America. You know, a few months ago, well, I guess it's gone on probably for a year or two now, where police a lot of times are painted as the bad guy.
They are.
Is that, how has that taken a toll on you and your fellow officers?
So number one, I think police make mistakes. I think we need to be honest about that. Every story or video that you see on, we had a conversation earlier about the national media. So every story or video you see that's put out there isn't necessarily a police mistake. There's sometimes a backstory to it. And somewhere as a profession, we lost the narrative.
Police?
Yeah.
It doesn't open. I promise. I promise it doesn't open. You're gonna get shot. Get your hands up.
Get out the fucking car. Get out the fucking car right now. Yes, get out now. Get out the fucking car.
Get out of the
You recording it? Yeah, I'm recording it.
Put your hands up. I don't give a Put your hands up. Hands up.
break your feet. When I tell you to do something, you do it.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to decide.
You're not complying with me.
Yes, I am.
When I tell you to do something, you do it.
I am. I'm complying with everything, sir.
Okay, sit down. Shut your mouth.
Get the other key down. No one else can come.
No, it's not fair. What'd you guys just do? I didn't do anything, sir.
Are you okay? Okay. So, you can come get me.
When I tell you to
Hey, hey! Whoa, sir, come down! What's going on here?
Oh, live here. Attacking a lady, man? Really?
Get the child down. She can walk. She's a baby.
That's how y'all treat black people, huh?
Can someone just like, defuse the situation here?
That's why start shooting these man. They wonder why people start shooting at these man.
He just came out yelling, he didn't say nothing.
Yeah, he just came out screaming and hollering at her. He didn't have to come at her like that, man. That's ridiculous. She sure was.
I was in the car with my baby. I was in the back seat.
We've got someone in our car.
Like what? We got four, five, maybe 6 troops. Good, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
3 weeks since he was fired, former Phoenix Police Chief Daniel Garcia is talking about the firing, the unions who he says were out to get him, and the new city manager who eventually let him go. After 33 years with Dallas Police, Garcia was hired in May of 2012 to head up the Phoenix Police Department, the first chief ever hired outside of the department. He quickly butted heads with the union over uniforms, shifts, and insisting that officers retake their oath every year. In the end, Garcia says the unions got their way.
I have no regrets in my policing style or my commitment or passion for policing. None.
Tensions between the chief and the police union came to a head in November when Garcia fired an officer for DUI. The officer pleaded for his job, claiming post-traumatic stress. The firing of Officer Craig Tiger, how much did that have to do with all of this, do you believe?
It had a lot to do with it. The union, I knew immediately was going to use that for their own personal gain, and they did.
Garcia says new city manager Ed Zerker did not want to fight with the unions.
The city manager immediately met with me on this issue and told me that I should prepare my exit strategy.
It was the beginning of the end. The union issued a vote of no confidence against the chief that Garcia believes he would have survived.
Where is it? We still haven't seen it. They didn't have the votes, and they still don't have the votes.
Garcia was at odds with the police union almost from the beginning. Did you know coming in how strong this union was?
Absolutely.
Were you warned about it?
Absolutely. Not only by some of the family members here in the department, as well as the city, but from other agencies outside the organization that knew the reputation of this union group.
Garcia says his firing came down to one issue. Who was going to run the department, the chief or the union?
They become too powerful, way too powerful. This is not about Chief Garcia. This is about the Phoenix Police Department and the city of Phoenix and what is best for our community. The Phoenix Police Department was able to accomplish a number of great things. This is a great organization, but it cannot be run by a police union. It's got to be run by the chief of police.
Against the wishes of the city manager, Garcia called a press conference December 19th to lay it all out.
You're not going to talk to the media. I'm the chief of police. This is a public safety issue, and I'm going to talk to the community whenever I need to. That should not be ordered away by anybody. I wanted to make sure that no matter what happened, I was going to leave the light on and shine a light on each one of those issues.
City Manager Ed Zerker fired him 2 hours later.
Today, the police chief disobeyed a direct order. As a result, I fired him.
Garcia says looking back, he wouldn't have done it any differently.
I've already shaken my head answering no, and the answer is no. The fact is, you cannot let politics interfere with public safety.
By the way, side note, I called Joe Klur, the president of the police union, tonight to find out what the vote tally really was on the no confidence vote against the chief, and I have not heard back as of now. Garcia says he's most proud that the crime rate in Phoenix dropped in each of his 3 years while he was chief, but he says the city is still 600 officers short, and that will be a major challenge moving forward for the next police chief.
3 Phoenix police officers caught on camera in behavior the chief is calling unprofessional. Now the county attorney must decide if they should be charged here for abusing their police power.
Yeah, only on ABC 15 we spoke to a relative of one of the suspects. Joe Bartels is here with a look at this video and how one officer explained why he pepper sprayed a woman. Joe, the video is really incredible.
It really is, Stephanie, and there are pages and pages of reports from the 2 separate incidents, one of them in May, another one in September, but there's also video, and it speaks volumes about what happened. Phoenix police have sent these cases onto the county attorney to see if the officers broke the law. There are 2 Phoenix police incidents under a microscope. The first is from September, when 2 Phoenix police officers confront a man at Metro Center Mall. In it, the suspect smashes several windows and gets on the ground when the cops arrive. But it appears one officer repeatedly punches and then slams the suspect's head into the ground. Phoenix police say the officer used too much force.
You're going to have to move, hon. Owner don't want you here.
Then there's this incident. Officer Logan Ignore and Chris Tiona are on duty, called to a homeless woman sleeping at a church near 35th Avenue and McDowell. Her family says she's a known drug user with severe anger issues. And after a few minutes of back and forth, she confronts the officers as they near a relative's home.
Have a good night. All right.
Get out of here.
No, go ahead. We'll wait.
No, you get out of here. This is ours.
Sidewalk's mine. Get your ass in that yard.
This is ours.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Get in the yard.
No. She's not up yet.
Get in the yard.
She's not up
Go.
yet.
Get in the yard.
No.
Spray her then. You want to be a dumbass? Go.
No.
Get in the yard.
Phoenix police say the homeless woman is sprayed with pepper spray. That exchange prompted an internal investigation, and in an exclusive interview with ABC 15, Devlin Flynn, a relative of the homeless woman who claims to have witnessed what happened, says he was shocked by what the officers did.
I know it's a tough job, but right there I didn't see any kind of professionalism at all.
All right, so to be clear, a total of 3 officers have been recommended for criminal charges. 1 for the punching, 1 for pepper spraying, and 1 for making a false report. Now, tonight at 10, we're asking Phoenix police why it took 7 months to get to the bottom of what happened.
All right, Joe, thank you.
A new report recommends changes to police training in Phoenix, Arizona, after the city had the most officer-involved shootings in the country. 2018 was the most violent year on record for Phoenix police, with 44 police shootings. That's more than double the number in 2017. By comparison, the New York City Police Department, the largest in the nation, had just 17 officer-involved shootings last year. Jeff Pegues spoke with the Phoenix police chief, who commissioned the study of her own department after she saw a troubling increase in the use of deadly force.
Has any other city experienced
44? No.
Yeah.
Trust me, no.
Phoenix Police Chief Jerry Williams is battling the perception that her officers are too eager to use force after her department had the most officer-involved shootings in the country.
There are some people who think, well, are Phoenix police trigger happy?
There are some people who think a lot of things. My agency is unafraid of the truth. If there's something we can learn, let's learn it, let's fix it.
A new National Police Foundation report says there is no one issue that caused the spike in officer-involved shootings in Phoenix, but notes assaults on officers were higher than past years and more of the subjects involved were armed. Phoenix-based activist group Poter in Action says the Phoenix Police Department has a history of aggression and issued a travel advisory for minorities last year in response to police violence in the city.
We had a vigil here right after it happened.
Paris Wallace works with Poter in Action. She told us about one shooting last year involving 34-year-old Robbie Brown, who was shot and killed by police responding to a call at a bus terminal.
He was sitting at one of the benches, and somebody said that they saw him playing with a gun.
Arizona is an open carry state, which means it's legal to carry a gun in plain sight. But at least one witness said she did not see Brown with a gun at the station and that he appeared to be listening to music.
They ended up boarding the bus and shooting him in front of over 30 people.
Police say Brown ignored commands to drop his weapon and produced a handgun from his pocket when they confronted him.
Keep it downrange, keep it downrange.
The national report also points to an increase in use of force incidents with no guns involved.
What the is going on? What the hell? You guys good? I'm dying.
Body cam footage shows the immediate aftermath of a Phoenix police officer's scuffle with a blind man named Marco Zepeda in a gas station bathroom last June. You were approaching the urinal?
Yeah, but I didn't hear anybody. So he comes and turns around and he say, I think, get off of me, and push me really hard. And that's when I started defending myself.
You just turn around and start pushing me like crazy. I
told you I was a cop and you just started freaking shooting at me.
I didn't know you were a cop.
I told you.
Let's go. Let's get out of here.
And I was explaining to him, look at my eyes, I'm blind.
What did he say?
He didn't care.
Zepeda was charged with aggravated assault. He spent 24 hours in jail, but the charges were ultimately dismissed. You've seen that tape?
I've not seen the tape. Or haven't seen the tape. I may or may not have seen the tape.
Well, we can.
I don't need to see the tape. I am not going to discuss the Zepeda case. One, it's still an active and open investigation, and two, I believe we are in litigation with it.
Do you get annoyed by those types of questions when those incidents happen?
I'm not going to say annoyed. Anytime something like that happens, it's troubling. You have to think about policy, procedures, practices.
How are you?
Helping oversee that effort is Commander Jennifer LaRoque. She runs a new training program at the Phoenix Police Academy.
What is implicit bias?
Which includes implicit bias courses and de-escalation training scenarios like these.
Calm down. The old military style where we come in and we start screaming at people, that's not happening here anymore. We've changed that up. We need to get back to the basic skills of how to take someone into custody without considering using the tool belt as a first resort. Or if one of those fails, do we necessarily have to pull out our gun and use deadly force?
What do you think is the most important thing in bridging the gap between community and police?
It's about trust. Can we always work on trust? Absolutely. Can we always work on communication? Absolutely. And my agency is doing that.
For CBS This Morning, Jeff Begaze, Phoenix.
The National Police Foundation report notes Phoenix police have already made significant changes to their training programs, but there is no evidence yet that implicit bias training or de-escalation training will result in fewer officer-involved shootings. You see the footage there, the cameras from the police officers. There was a time when there was a debate whether that was going to exist, and you see how helpful it is in helping with this training.
It'd be more helpful if they would look at the tape, too. I think that's important, that you at least got to look at the tape. I appreciate the fact that Phoenix has acknowledged that they have a problem and they want to do something about it, and they're working on that. Yeah. It's a very important story.
They certainly feel the heat.
Good afternoon. Many of you have seen the videos from May 27th, where our Phoenix police officer made contact with a family. I, like you, am disturbed by the language and the actions of our officer. I assure you that this incident is not representative of the majority of Phoenix police officers who serve this city. I do want you to know that I expect our employees to maintain their professionalism and proper training at all times. As soon as I was aware of the video, I began an immediate internal investigation. Now, I wish investigations could be handled instantly, but each one takes time and deserves the due diligence before we can discuss specific details. For those of you who have made public comments and have contacted me personally about the video, I get it. Your concerns are also my concerns. With that said, I stand by my commitment of transparency and accountability as we continue to complete this internal investigation. I also stand behind and with the thousands of men and women who faithfully serve and protect our community day in and day out. Thank you for listening.
Well, Mark, thank you. Now we want to get to this video here. A lot of you are talking about this, not only here in Arizona, but also across the nation. Phoenix police responding to a shoplifting incident right here in the Valley last week. The family that police confronted now suing the police department. Actually, I believe the date of this incident was a few weeks ago. The mayor now demanding change. Joining us live in the studio to talk a little bit more about this video and the response, Phoenix Police Chief Jerry Williams. Thank you for waking up with us.
Yeah, thank you. To be honest, ladies, every time I look at that video, it's extremely unsettling. It's not in keeping with what I expect from our employees. And I'll be honest, there's 2,900 other officers out there who work for Phoenix PD who are not taking this well either. So I'm sorry that this incident happened. I apologize to the family. I apologize to the community. But at the end of the day, there's more to the story. So fact is that on May 27th, we respond to a call of individuals, adults, who are stealing property from a business. When officers go to make initial contact, they run out of the store. We make a traffic stop. As the vehicle is fleeing, the car stops. We arrest one lady who's charged with warrants later. The car flees again. From there, I get it. That's where the language, that's where the unprofessional conduct, that's where the lack of professionalism really stood out. It's troubling, it's challenging, and definitely not representative of the 2,900 officers that we have in Phoenix.
I think, what's difficult for a lot of people here, Chief, is that this piles on to a mountain of complaints. Last year we had a record number of officer-involved shootings, sadly. Just weeks ago then we find out from an outside entity about racist social media posts by officers in your department, and now we add this on, and that is excessive force to a lot of people. It's hard for them to watch. So how do you expect the community to respond to that, and how do you try to gain their trust back when we've got this mountain of things and now this?
So every time we find out about a scenario and situation, we're addressing it, we're dealing with it. As soon as I found out about the Facebook posts, I put those officers on non-enforcement duty, or they're not engaging the public directly. As soon as I found out about this video, I take officers off duty and assign them to desk duty again. We're running investigations, we're being transparent. Frankly, we're rolling out body-worn cameras much faster than we had been. So right now we have about 600 cameras out in 2 precincts. We're loading up another precinct starting tomorrow, so we're making sure that we get the body-worn cameras fully complemented in patrol in August. But at the end of the day, everyone's entitled to due process. And that due process is the investigation, is the internal investigation. I got asked earlier today, how long is it going to take? I understand these 2 investigations are a top priority for our agency. I've removed folks from different assignments to solely focus on these 2 investigations so we can get to the truth faster, because I think that's critical.
Well, you did mention, I want to go back to that topic of transparency here. Ever since you came in to this role, that has been something that you've talked a lot about and trying to be more transparent with the department. However, in this case, it wasn't the police department that informed of this video and this incident, it was the public. Same with the Facebook posts. That was a watchdog group that did that. So I think to a lot of people, it may not seem like this is being very transparent at all when we're not hearing from these incidents from your department, but from other people, from the public. So how do you reconcile that?
So I reconcile that by saying I can't fix what I don't know. I didn't know about the Facebook post. I didn't know about the shoplifting incident. I think it would be different if we became aware of this and we did nothing and we just sat by and said, I'm sorry, I don't have any comment, or I'm sorry, I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to let the investigation speak for itself. The investigation will do that. Everyone's entitled to due process. Once we get to the truth, we'll share that with the community members. Body-worn cameras are being rolled out. But I got 2,900 people, you all out there, who are doing great jobs and doing great work every day. And instances like this mar the good work that they do. We still need the community support. We do want the community to trust us. But at the end of the day, I know each of these incidents chip away at the trust that the community has.
It takes you back.
Yes,
absolutely.
And certainly, I think that one of the questions that people also have is, you have been very clear trying to send messages yourself and talk to the community when something like this happens, but you're also trying to change a greater culture culture and build from within, or at least repair part of the culture. So you don't know about these incidents until they go onto Facebook, but then people question, are your own officers reporting them? There were other officers there who were not appearing to be aggressive. Would they have reported their fellow officers? That seems to be where the trust then breaks with the community.
Right. So again, the incident is under investigation. We can do better. And the lessons learned from the Facebook post, the lessons learned from this instance is we do need to do better. And we need to communicate better. And we need to do some different things. We're going to be looking at policy. We're going to be looking at more training. But I ask the community to trust us. I think at the end of the day, again, if we just stood by and not did anything, I think that would be problematic. But we faced this head on. We said it was wrong. Again, I apologize to the family. I apologize to the community. I actually apologize to the rest of my employees who are doing a great job out there every day.
You know, that does bring me to this point here. After we watched a lot of what's happened within the Mesa Police Department in terms of that vote of no confidence with their police chief, and you have come and, to Nohe's point, tried to change a lot of what has seemed to be a systematic problem there. But if you don't know about it and those other officers aren't reporting it, I have to ask point blank, do you have the trust and respect of the rest of those officers there on the force?
I think that's a great question. And to be honest with you, I absolutely think that I do. We just need to learn from the experiences and do better. At the end of the day, I'm the representative of almost 3,000 people. At the end of the day, when bad things happen, I'm the first one to come out and say, yes, we were wrong. Yes, we apologize.
Moving forward so that we can try to continue to learn and grow and improve. You're talking about the body cameras, and Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego also said that she will work to arm everybody with cameras. Will you then continue to work on policy of when those cameras need to be turned on, when they need to be recording? Is there policy in place, or does it need to be improved?
So there's policy in place. We just need to train our officers on the use of the body-worn cameras. The cameras are being assigned to the officers to build that trust. So there was a comment made a little bit about culture, changing the culture. The Phoenix Police Department culture is a good culture. We are seeing one-offs, and we're seeing situations of individuals who are tarnishing our reputation, not just as Phoenix police officers, but as law enforcement in general. And I am certain that we are going to repair that.
Were there any other officers who had body cameras in this incident in their patrol cars, and will we see that video?
Great question. So no, this precinct was not outfitted on that day with body-worn cameras.
Okay.
But they have since been outfitted with body-worn cameras in that precinct.
Now, we have been told that there's going to be a community meeting happening on Tuesday. Is that something that you are going to be at to answer the community's concerns?
Absolutely. So there is something to be said about the community exercising its voice, and for me to hear the voice of the community. I know there are people that are angry out there. I'm angry. The 2,900 other officers are angry, but at the end of the day, I owe it to our community to listen to those voices.
We do want to acknowledge, certainly as you have said, that we recognize that the police force is big, and we have featured many of your officers right here on our station for going above and beyond. It is not lost on us that you put yourselves in the line of fire all the time to protect all of us. It is not a job that just anybody can do, so we don't want it to be lost that we do appreciate you, and we do appreciate you taking these steps to come speak to us and speak to the community and try to be at the forefront of this.
Thank you.
All right, Chief, thank you very much for sitting here with us. We appreciate your time, and don't forget that community meeting will be happening this Tuesday here, where you will get a chance to talk to the police chief yourself and also Mayor Kate Gallego, as well as other community members about what's happening. That information is online at abc15.com.
And that's also where we will post this interview in its entirety. Chief Williams, thank you again for joining us this morning.
Well, first of all, this is a free country, and we are a department that believes in transparency, and what I'm really proud of in terms of law enforcement is that when you look at the challenges, those societal challenges that we're facing as a nation, law enforcement's really at the forefront, I believe, in terms of a deep desire to improve our profession, to build bridges with our community, and a big piece of that is transparency. If you think about the mistrust of government in this nation, where the mistrust of government is at an absolute fever pitch, historic high, it's extremely high, the mistrust of government. The way that we build trust with the community is through transparency and through engagement and through having actual respect for the community we serve, holding each other accountable, the community holding us accountable, us holding the community accountable when they don't do the right thing. And when we do these things, I think we end up with much better outcomes, which means we build trust. So transparency builds trust. And so there's a big difference between videotaping and inserting yourself and interfering. And that's why our policy is clear, it's succinct, nobody should really be confused by reading this policy. And so anybody that wants to know whether it's a policy violation, I think when you look at the video and you read the policy, you can pretty quickly draw your own conclusions, but we'll let the investigation take its course.
Because I would propose that over the last 25 years, policing in America has been one of America's greatest success stories. If you look at the rates of use of force, they've gone from up here way down here. There's far fewer instances of use of force than there were 20, 25 years ago. You look at crisis intervention teams, how we interact with people with mental illness. You look at just police behavior in general, things that people were doing 25, 30 years. We all heard about it back in the day, right? Oh, you know, you even think about it, we fire you now for things that people were just blatantly doing 25, 30 years ago. You look at crime rates over the last 25, 30 years, you know, the crime rates in the 70s, 60s, I mean, those crime rates went down, 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 down. And that message has been lost through a few high-profile events that were tragic and bad and wrong. Don't misunderstand me, there's something to be done there as well. But yeah, policing over the last 25 years is a success story. And that's the message I would go out and talk to people. I mean, if you look at what we were doing 25 years ago, this profession has come a long way in that time. Still work to do, but it's exciting. What that media has done, though, is it has made our job quite a bit harder. It's harder to find new officers that want to become police officers, especially in communities that feel victimized by police. And if those communities keep telling those stories and keep reinforcing that negative impression of police, it makes it so people of that community do not want to become a police officer because we're the enemy. And that's what we need, is more a diverse police force, a force that is representative of our community. And so those are all challenges to overcome that we're going to work on over the next as many years as I'm fortunate enough to be here.
And from my observation here in East Idaho, generally people are supportive of the police. There's not an adversarial type of relationship. There obviously are a few people that don't like cops, but generally it seems like a positive relationship.
So you're doing like your own documentary sort of a thing.
Well, I started a news service on YouTube.
Really?
Yeah.
Very interesting. A news service.
News service, yeah.
Is it dedicated, and you're just dedicated to police corruption and things like that, or just in general news?
That's where I seem to find the most news food for right now, is police. And, yeah. Yeah.
So then how do you feel about all the anti-police sentiment that's out there across the nation right now?
Yeah, I definitely, I don't want to be looped in with all those people because I don't necessarily have a problem with police. I have a problem with things that go against the Constitution and the laws that are on the books.
Absolutely agree.
So,
absolutely.
And that's what I've seen be done by some police, not by state troopers so far.
Yeah, if we're going to be perfectly honest about, I've been a cop for a number of years, he's been a cop for a number of years, and I was military as well. He had other jobs before he became a trooper and stuff, but if we're going to be perfectly honest, no matter what industry you're in, there's always going to be bad apples.
Right.
Unfortunately, in the police world, those bad apples can have devastating effects sometimes because of the authority that's given to them as police officers.
Well, three things: an oath, a badge, and a gun. You're not just guys that work at McDonald's or Walmart.
So when it comes to cops, it's a little bit different than McDonald's or Walmart.
Higher standard.
And I absolutely agree with you that police officers should be held to a higher standard because we're the ones that are out there enforcing it.
I prefer the term peace officer myself because police is...
Keep the peace?
Yeah. Police, in my mind, is like in the big cities on places like the East Coast where I grew up, where it's just, we're the enemy and they're the army. That's, to me...
Where on the East Coast did you go?
The D.C. area. But I've been to other parts too. But where I grew up, it was like, there was no... right to remain silent or no
Really?
consent to searches. Yeah, I mean, there was just, because there wasn't these smartphones back when I grew up. And there was just, and it still goes on today. People don't even know that they have the right to not be searched, that type of stuff. But
It happens all the time. You know, we ask somebody for permission to search and they tell us no. And if we don't have probable cause, we can't search.
Sir, is there anything I can do for you? Sir?
Not yet.
What do you get?
I haven't earned a single dollar.
Huh?
Haven't earned a single dollar yet.
Why do you do it?
It's a long story.
Well, let me hear it. I got time.
Well, I guess for starters, I'm just tired of unreasonable searches and seizures by the police.
I don't get upset over that.
I do.
Why?
I have a big problem with it.
You get pulled over all the time?
Not all the time, but occasionally.
How many times?
Well,
This
before we get into that, even if it's just one time, if procedures aren't followed properly, then that's a problem.
What's the procedure after they pull you over? Ask for your driver's license.
Not a problem.
Okay, so what else?
If they ask to search the vehicle and I say no, why do they automatically sometimes say that they're going to wait for a canine to come?
Yeah, I can see that.
I can't. I have a big problem with that.
Are you on drugs?
I'm not on drugs. Are you on drugs?
Have you ever been on drugs?
No. Have you?
No.
Okay.
So I don't worry about it.
I don't worry about it. I'm not even sure why you asked me that question.
Well, if you're saying you object to them searching your vehicle for drugs, why would you object?
Because the Fourth Amendment protects us from unreasonable seizures and searches.
I know, but listen.
Bro, that ain't even right. I have nothing to do with it. You have no reason to be videotaping my car. You have no reason to be videotaping it. Then back up.
You got the wrong idea.
No, sir, because that ain't right, because I have nothing to do with your issue.
Trust me, I'm not involved in you.
You're putting my stuff on things that isn't right.
You got nothing to worry about.
Can I just move into over there, please?
Sir?
Well, he's videotaping my whole car.
You have no right to put their information on YouTube. You want to put me on there, you go ahead.
First of all,
you leave them out of it.
First of all, I don't know what you guys are thinking I'm going to do with that information, but all I'm doing is record keeping.
YouTube. I know what you do with it.
Of course I do.
These are juveniles. You have nothing to do with this call.
Well,
There's
I
no
have everything to do.
unreasonable search or seizure going on. You're just being here
I'm making
being a
sure
pain
that
in
it
the
doesn't
ass.
happen. That's exactly why I'm here.
No, you're
and
not.
if you think I'm just being a pain in the ass for no fucking reason, then you're dead wrong. You need to do your fucking research.
Really?
Exactly.
Are you getting in my face, sir?
You're the one coming towards me, like just over there when you start walking towards me. So don't try to start instigating and start trying to act like I'm the one who's being disorderly. You're the problem.
Don't cuss at me, sir.
Fuck you.
Go home.
Sir, that's not right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, since it's a public area, I mean, there's nothing that we can do to stop them.
Excuse me,
Yeah,
you're disturbing
because
her.
we're in a
She doesn't
public
want you recording her.
place.
Oh.
I mean, there's not much that we can do. Yeah.
She finds it offensive.
Okay, are you going to enforce a law, officer?
Well, so you're disturbing her.
I'm
as
asking you,
well.
are you going to enforce a law?
Don't even worry about it. There was one that just touched my sister with her baby in her arms.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, don't worry about it. They won't do shit.
Gotcha. All I know is he swore an oath to
He
the...
hasn't even come so he could check one of those pigs the fat one over there walking. He can't even fucking apologize.
Yeah, you'll. Here, she just needs. This is hers.
When this is the authority we have in El Paso. A fucking pig like him.
So how can I help you?
Never asked for help?
Were you part of this at all? Any of them? Okay, can you do me a favor and just step over here somewhere?
No, sir.
Because we're conducting an investigation and you can't be...
It's a public site.
It is, but you're right now you're hindering our investigation. You're in the middle of everything.
So
I'm gonna
you
need you to
claim.
step. So you can just step over here
I'm
somewhere.
not in the middle of anything.
You are. You are.
Are you aware of Penal Code 3815?
Are you aware that you're in the middle of our investigation?
That's how you feel.
Been like this with us. I'm calling their supervisor right now.
Oh, okay.
Can you please move your fucking?
Well, anyway.
Excuse me, sir. You're in my way.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sir, if you could record, you could record over there.
I'll stand right here.
Or the sidewalk, sir.
Right here.
Okay, that's fine. Just don't get in our way.
As long as he's not in our way.
Absolutely. Texas Penal Code 38.15.
Yeah. Angelo.
What's up, man?
You all right, Robert?
How are you? What's your name? What is it? Oh, nice to meet you, D'Angelo. What's up, buddy? What's your name? Robert, nice to meet you.
Tell him
Your
what
hands
you
are
want
so cold.
Check this out now. Which one want to be the police?
How you doing?
Who want to be the police?
You want to be a policeman? Right.
Look, fellas, look.
Right.
Good job. They got y'all something. See, they didn't have to do this, y'all. This is nice. Y'all have these.
What's in here is for the two boys. They're labeled. This one, give this to them. This is.
Look at this. There you go.
Yep, we got him right here.
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
It's a heavier one, okay?
That one's heavy. Give that one to Daddy. That one's for.
Kumar too.
How you doing, buddy? Good. Hey, what's up, man? Nice
Give that
meet
to
you.
Daddy.
He's at Harding. He's at Lincoln.
Hey, Robert. There's one in here for you and one for your brother.
Me?
Yeah, one for you too. Yeah.
You on the football team? The high school? I wouldn't this year, but all right. Then you gotta make
Oh my goodness, you got your own police caps.
Mommy, tell Mama, look.
What'd you get? You can go show off.
Let me make it the right size for you. Okay?
Hold on, Robert. Where you going?
Oh, he got his hat. He's ready to go.
She go? Oh, she can't make it out.
There you go, buddy. You're welcome. And there's some candy inside for you, too.
Oh, my.
And them guys could have been running up and down the street like we see them every day.
What do you say,
See?
Robert?
They came down here just for y'all.
What do you say?
What you say?
You look so happy.